Tonight, we have a special exclusive on Paul. Paul, formerly called Saul, would have been very highly educated. He was a student of Gamaliel of the Sanhedrin. Some scholars say that this would have made him among the top most educated people among the world at the time. It's evident in his writing as well. If you look at Romans especially, it's a systematic, logical defense of the faith. Paul was also thoroughly Jewish. He didn't see himself as a radical convert or starting a new religion. He was simply someone who believed that the Messiah had already come in the form of Jesus. He worshiped in the synagogue. He followed Jewish customs and dietary restrictions. Paul was also a Roman citizen. This gave Paul a unique privilege, having access to the Roman Empire. This laid the foundation for the spreading of the gospel in Rome, which ultimately culminated in Christianity being established as the official religion of the Roman Empire several hundred years later under Constantine. Paul was radically converted or called, depending on your view. He was initially pictured in Acts as persecuting Christians. He held the coats of the people that were stoning Stephen. He encounters the risen Christ on the road to Damascus and radically shifts his beliefs. Paul was then the messenger to the Gentiles. The other disciples largely took the gospel to the Jewish diaspora, but Paul was called to bring the gospel to the Gentiles. He established the Gentiles did not have to follow the same callings or regulations as the Jews, and he exposited Jesus' teachings, explaining the faith especially to the Gentiles, who were often not familiar with Jewish customs and the scripture. Paul was a church planter. Paul took the gospel to the Gentiles, which is translated as the Greeks in some translations, and planted churches all around the Greek world, especially to places like Ephesus, Corinth, Thessalonica, and Galatia. He was also a fantastic encourager and corrector to the new believers in those churches. Finally, maybe the most applicable, Paul was the joyful sufferer. Paul taught and encouraged how to be patient and steadfast in the face of suffering, and how we can learn to give thanks in all circumstances. Paul suffered what he called the thorn in his side and was frequently beaten for preaching the gospel. He wrote most of his letters from prison and was ultimately executed for this crime.